Okay, good afternoon. So later, hopefully soon, I will record the video for sure. And I mean, unless something unexpected will happen, but I'll certainly record the video in the robot series, which will conclude this very basic series. And maybe even later I'll continue with the fairy tale, which is important. Having like a lack of motivation. I'm honest with you. I don't feel like I don't have like any kind of inner motivation, inner force to speak about my life and my roots, my story, my origin story, and also the fairy tale. But maybe it will change later today, hopefully. These things are important, but I feel like it's too long the time, like you're a clown and entertainer and historian, and I need arms and legs. I cannot continue to live in this Nazi prison, and every day that I'm detached from my daughter it breaks my heart. And enough was spoken about it. I need to be rescued from the Nazi prison, me and my daughters. That's it. We do not need no advice, and certainly do not need to participate in any theater show. Now I decided, the 4 starships are ready, and later today I will put it in display, put a fit in display outside, on the window, maybe with another new fire for symbolic purposes. And I decided to create more ships, at least 2 more, and I will prepare. I have about 16 or 17 balls, with ejaculations. So I'll prepare. I'll cut it and prepare 40 of them, 20 for each ship. And these ships will be considerably smaller. They will be of different design and considerably smaller, because those ships are. The problem with it is that they're pretty big. And while it's not a problem, from a buyer's perspective, if someone will want to buy it, maybe they don't have a problem that it's kind of big. Actually, it's even kind of heavy, even though it's not too heavy, because a lot of it is hollow because it's filled with these balls. So, but the problem is just space. I don't have space here. Everything that I have is in this room, and I don't have. So, I just don't have space for more of these. I don't have a place to put. I move things all around the room. So the next room will be much smaller, but they will contain a large amount of material from the Crucible, together with my ejaculation, and 20 pods. And so, presumably it should contain a lot of neos. And what we'll do now is actually a microscopic review. So we will watch 2 slides from the Crucible, one from the oil, heavy oil in the bottom layers, and one from the top layer, where there is the threads, like the cotton and the toilet paper, that burns, the burned ones exist, from the top. And we will actually review 3 more slides. I'll try to do it quickly, because actually I don't have the time for a thorough investigation, but I want, it's important to conduct this kind of reviews, so they will be recorded, so you will know, so we'll have an idea of the various containers that you have, what's the situation, so you will not be too surprised. So so I know, and so I can also react and change things if they are not working properly. As for example, I merged the three plastic containers to one big aquarium in metal containers a couple of days ago. So it's important to have if you deal with ecosystem, it's important to check it from time to time, just to see that things are not completely different from what you expect, because it takes time for the ecosystem to grow. So we will take we will watch one sample from a container that I call the Alien Aquarium, which is that one. It's airtight glass jar with neo juice. It was a small amount of neo juice that was originated in the original aquarium. It was created 2 months ago. It's a pretty old one already, and it's alien by the fact that it contains a lot of like paraffin wax and linseed oil and not much, like I mean it's like very small amount of like water or pee or biological material, actually none at all, no biological material. And what we'll also do, which should be interesting, maybe we'll start with that actually, is 2 samples from a container that this container that contains I prepared maybe 1 month or 2 months ago, I don't remember. I think 1 month ago. It contains salt water that I've taken from the sea, of course with a little bit of oil, and because it should be oily a little bit, and a little bit of and also sand from the sea, and a small amount of weed from the sea, and water. I mean, a small amount of water from the aquarium, that contain all sorts of like life forms and neros. And actually, half of this container, I place it in this in this like in the new metal can that contained all the water from the 3 plastic containers. I can tell you that the smell is horrible. It's airtight, but probably not 100% because the smell is it smells like, I mean, it kind of like, I mean, it even though it's airtight, I mean, so when you open it, the smell is unbelievably like hell, like really disgusting, and it's probably not 100% airtight because it's kind of like, I mean, it's spread over the room, like even like, I mean, so I need to think what to do with it because it's actually a little bit of it actually spreads even when it's closed. And it's, I mean, part of the source of the bad smell in this room, even though I try to clean it and like to get rid of the very smelly things. Again, at the expense of that, I do not longer use open containers. And this means that, I mean, many life forms cannot exist because many synthetic life forms require oxygen. Not all of them. By the way, it's also true for biological life forms. I mean, there are aerobic and anaerobic germs, but I mean, maybe, and certainly the biggest life form that I've seen of the synthetics, certainly they require oxygen, and this was, I mean, demonstrated in the various containers like ecosystems. So when it's airtight, I mean, it means that there will be much less diversity, and especially probably we will not see the very big ones, like the huge ones that we've seen in the past. We will still see life forms and even worms, like even big kind of like bigger ones, and this was demonstrated from the wax containers. Even creatures like worms can be like, I mean, synthetic ones not necessarily require oxygen, but this, I mean, we limit the diversity, but I mean, I need to breathe in the room, and like it's so smelly in here. So I mean, and there is no way like to get rid of the smell if it's not airtight, the containers. I don't know why it smells so bad, like the salt water container. Possibly there was kind of like, I mean, chemical reaction, and that, I mean, and all sorts of like gas were created, and the smell just mean these gases, because originally it wasn't smelly. It contained like mostly, you know, seawater that are not smelly, and there is like maybe a spoon of the aquarium waters that do not smell very well, but I mean, not that bad, and was very small quantity. Maybe the microscopic like examination will actually give us hints to why it smells so bad, and maybe not. Anyway, any life form that we will see there, I almost certainly that it cannot be biological, because it was kept like 2 months, it's like in closed, probably almost completely airtight. I mean, it's standard, you know, coffee jar. I mean, like Tetsu's Choice, glass with, you know, standard like metal, you know, cover. But I think it should be airtight or almost completely airtight, and certainly shouldn't. I mean, I don't think that like biological life form could exist there, even though for certain they existed in the water, because the waters were, I mean, from the sea, and of course it contains many bacteria. Maybe on hindsight I should have taken samples from the seawater and like to watch under the microscope, but I haven't. So anyway, so let's start with that. So let's just start with that. I mean, with the 2 samples from this airtight seawater container. Maybe we will see nothing. I mean, it's the first time that I take samples from this container, so I don't know nothing about what's going on. Besides that, it smells like hell. I don't know if there are any life forms in there, like, or any neros. Let's see. Let's take a look. Oh, it smells so bad. Even the small like amount on the glass smells terrible. So the regular microscope, 64 magnification. We have the complete robot, Asimov's complete robot as the base, the standard base for the microscope. This smells like hell, really. So I think we see Neros, I'm not certain. Yes. Well, by the way, one of the most amazing abilities of Neros is to cut materials into million like rocks, mine it, and this was demonstrated in many slides in the past. But recently, I didn't have experiments that of construction of all sorts of things that require mining, as have done in the past. And maybe all my newcomers like to this channel, are not aware of it, but the Neros can certainly construct material objects, that not only living things or synthetic robots, and they can mine like stuff, harvest it from like raw material that are on the slide, and they can cut it into geometrical shapes like in millions, and this was like, to million little pieces, that even like million pieces even just on the surface of one microscopic slide. So it's amazing, and it was demonstrated in the past, but currently they don't have the incentive to do so, because I do not give them like any symbolic construction commands that deal with like material objects, as I've done in the past. So we do not see that much. So yeah, these are Neros and many stones, rocks. This looks like artificial drawing of some kind of like Nazca lines. So we see small things that look like Nero, but I'm not certain. I'll zoom in when I'm like have more confidence that it's actually Neros. Maybe these are Neros. Let's zoom in. Not certain. I don't know. Certainly this one looks like a Nero. Maybe we should zoom in even more. Okay, we don't see really particularly interesting thing in the maximum zoom. This looks like a Nero, but I'm not certain. So overall, not many things there to see, I would say. But maybe I missed. Maybe you, I mean, any of you that is more expert on biology or perhaps on seawater can see like an interesting thing. I must admit that I do not see really. I mean, this is a Nero, nice one, big one. I don't see really. I mean, many interesting stuff. There was some kind of like mining operations because we see the rocks, but they are not geometrical like one like we've seen in the past. So I'm not certain actually. Like it's not a tidy mining operation that we've seen in the past of like many like millions of small diamonds, and this was demonstrated very nicely, and you can see it in the channel. So these are certainly this is a very nice Nero, and also it has like the starship, like the Stargate property of like different interior, and like I mean, it's not the same inside and outside, and it's really big. Maybe we'll zoom in. This was 64 magnification, this is 160. Interesting. Certainly Nero and certainly a nice one. Like a big one. I'm not certain what we see inside it. Is it like just the bottom layer with different color for some reason, which is why should it be like that? I don't know. Or maybe it's kind of like a new, like another like coordinate in the space-time continuum. I mean, you tell me. I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, so we see nice Nero. This one is a fat one. Another really big one, which is nice, very nice. Another small one, which is, fat, and the medium one is fat. This one is really nice, actually. Really nice. Let's zoom in a little bit when we see it's better in 160. Yeah, so definitely we have some big ones here. we need like patience, but they're big and nice. We don't see life forms. At least I don't see life forms. Maybe you have seen, but I don't see life forms here. We've seen something, this looks a little bit like a life form actually, but I'm not sure. Or maybe it's a Nero, I'm not even sure. Like, it looks like a Nero with all sort of like thing inside of it. I'm not clear what it is actually. Another nice one. So yes, we see quite a bit of big ones. This is 64 magnification, and now we see life form. This is certainly a life form that does not require oxygen. So more here. So as I said, there are much less diversity when there is no oxygen, but it's not that we don't see no life form at all. Just much less diversity, because probably most synthetic, or many of the synthetic life forms that the Neros create require oxygen, but not all of it. So this one, I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's a Nero. It's certainly round as a Nero, and it has the Stargate property. If this is a Nero, this is I think the biggest I've ever seen, which is kind of a new record, which is very nice. Like it's huge. It's not that fat actually. It's quite thin. Like I define fatness like as kind of like how width is like the tube, like the black ring compared to the radius. Like the size is determined by the radius, and the fatness is like how big is the ring compared to the radius. So the ring isn't that wide compared to the radius, which is huge. So it's kind of thin one, but a huge one. Like I'm not certain it is Neo. I don't know what you think. Maybe you have your own suggestion. But if it is, certainly it has like the shape, like the ring shape, and certainly it's like that. You have like it's got like the Stargate property. And so if it is a Neo, it's actually, I think it's the biggest one that I've seen, at least maybe I've seen like one or two that I was not certain about, like their nature, but if it is actually that, it's the biggest that I've ever seen. And you can see all sorts of like neros inside of it. What we can actually see now inside of it is an example of red belly neros. As I said in the past several times, when I say yellow neros and red neros and brown neros, I refer like to, it's just color code, not to the real color, but sometimes many times you see neros with yellow belly and golden belly, which is kind of like, it was a major topic in this like channel in the past, but kind of like it was a dead end, like from research point of view. I didn't like make like many theories that I had on the matter just proven wrong. So probably it's just digestive fluids. I mean, as I said, they just eat worms, like they eat like small life forms, and then I mean they have the yellow belly, and then after they're done, they leave the digestive fluid behind them, and you can see just, I mean, decomposing and deforming like ring-shaped yellow pools without the nero. But sometimes, and you can actually see the same, but not with yellow or golden belly, but with red or orange or blue bellies. And my assumption is it's the same. It's just digestive fluids that are made of different kind of material. That's my assumption. Let's zoom in even a little bit more. Wait a second. Let's look at 64. Just again at 64. So let's take a look outside. Outside of the nero. So now we are outside of the robot, and now let's do maximum zoom in. Let's press like the lens against the cover. Just a second. No, just a second. Wait a second. So just a second. Better do it here, like this. So this is like under the nero. So we go to 160, like zoom in. And then we go to more zoom in. We do more zoom in. So now we see stuff. Interesting. Looks like a small microbe, like a ciliate or something. I'm not able to see like a very interesting stuff. No. Anyway, this is like inside the nero. Okay, so it's not really, but anyway, it's a very nice one. If it's actually a nero, I'm not 100% certain. It's the biggest I've seen, and very nice one. Like, I mean, with a lot of material inside and very nice shape. This one, if it's actually a nero, this is I mean, it borders in the microscopic. I mean, it's this size. I cannot like estimate what's the size. I mean, even though it's 64 magnification, so you can do the math, but what I can tell from experience, like, I mean, just for, just, I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, from like practice, not mathematics, is that this size of the thing that you see right now, this circle is just on the border of microscopic. It means that but maybe you can actually see it in the naked eye if you have a very good eyesight. I would say that if the radius was 2 times larger, certainly it was not in the microscopic scale. Like it was something that you can see and maybe like see some features in the naked eye. And like, I mean, 2 times is not much because, I mean, remember these things start in the, like, you know, at least in the small microscopic like level, and probably in the nanoscopic level. So, I mean, their sizes, I mean, there are many of these that there are 1,000s, like, I mean, 1,000 times smaller and probably 100 times smaller and maybe even million times smaller. But this option is kind of like something that I've discussed in the past. But anyway, at least, I mean, certainly there are many that are 1,000 times smaller. So it's not like, I mean, out of the question to expect that if you see this one and also ones that are 1,000 times smaller, we can see something that is 2 times bigger. And so in 2 times bigger will certainly be not in the microscopic scale. Like, of course, a microscope will be able to actually like show us details, but like some feature would be been able to be like detected and identified in the naked eye, which is great because I really want like neros that are like in the above the microscopic size, like, I mean, you know, maybe as friends or pets or weapons of mass destruction, and maybe starships on the go, as they say. This is certainly life form, and I don't know why it moves. I don't know if it's like voluntary movement or maybe just in the liquid. Maybe it's just, I mean, it moves in the liquid. If it's voluntary, it's disgusting. I mean, I really like to see my life forms like, I mean, not moving because, you know, it makes you like nervous when they start to move. Okay, so this is the end of the slide. It was interesting because we've seen many small neros and some that are big and one that was huge, so it was a very interesting slide. We didn't see many life forms, and this is to be expected because, as I said, no oxygen, I mean, means very small diversity relatively, but we have seen several of the, like some life forms. And so this is, I mean, as expected from previous experiments. What you can say that, I mean, the Nero seems to get larger because, I mean, they weren't that big like in the originally, like, I mean, and of course there were not that many because only was put like only a spoon in this like jar. So they certainly multiplied in those waters, which means that they can feed on the microbes that are typical to salt water from the sea, from the Mediterranean, which is great. Which means that, I mean, it's kind of like an easy way to supply them with like food that for the ecosystem pathway, or like without external source of energy. So we just, I mean, use water from the sea, which is kind of like a very cheap and easy solution with weeds, of course. Okay. So now we should take a look at another slide from the same container. This one is, I mean, is a little less, it's a little, I mean, more thin, like in material. I can just, I mean, placed a little less on the slide. Wow, so nice. So nice. This is 64 magnification and also life form. Nice warm. More life forms. More life form, disgusting one. Let's try to zoom in to see if we see some details on this disgusting worm. Okay, this is a worm. I mean, worm is a worm, I guess. I'm not sure if it's a Nero, like a twisted Nero or a bacteria of some sort. I'm not sure. I think it's a Nero actually. It was like a twisted form, but I'm not sure. It's a. This is definitely a Nero and definitely a big one. So they fit very well on the. I mean, we have enough evidence to say that yes, they fit very well on the bacteria that is found in the ocean, which is very like in the Mediterranean, which is like the ocean, which is great because it's actually a very easy way to like to prepare like I mean the feeding mixture for the Neros. This is not as trivial as you may think because they feed the best on bacteria. This was proven. Like I mean, of course, I mean they can also use energy like heat and electricity, but again in the ecosystem pests they feed very well on bacteria. But it's not really easy like to create like I mean. So yes, you can create a culture, but very easily with using petri dish and agar or just I mean any kind of like different like laboratory methods. But I was talking about it in the past. I will just say that I've elaborated like in past video. I don't want to repeat myself now, but when you have like pretty large container, like even if it's half a liter, like or a liter container, and certainly if it's larger, you want the food to be spread like all over the place. You don't want like the food to be placed like in one. Presumably you could just I mean put like I mean no you could chicken like I mean a chicken leg on but it doesn't work because the Neros are spread all over the place, and they don't all go to the same place to eat. Probably because it will be very dangerous, and it will be like for like and not like a correct strategy for many reasons. So they try to feed on the things that are in their vicinity. So you want the food to be spread like all over the container. And this is best done with microbes. But you need the microbes to spread like all over the mixture. And this is best achieved with kind of like I mean with water from nature. Like I mean like pond water. I mean the first microscopic like examination of life forms was done by Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, I mean famously on pond water. And you've seen like ton of like life forms inside of it. But so pond water could be like a great like a way like to like a great basis for Nero juice, Nero mixture that should be like developed like in the ecosystem pest. The problem is that there are no ponds in Israel. I mean I've searched for, but even in the winter, I mean like every like mud I mean is probably like one day old because after 2 days I mean it's just getting dry. I mean because I mean in Israel we have like 10 days of rain like on average on the entire year, and they are not that like and even these ones are kind of like I mean not really strong ones. I mean there aren't many rain in this. It's mostly a summer, like it's a summer country, like I mean, so we don't get many ponds, but we do have the Mediterranean, and this is like I mean manifestly I mean by these two slides it's evident that the Neros feed very well on the bacteria and plankton, whatever, that are inside the seawater. So it's actually a great way to actually feed them without water from the pond or without artificial creation of cultures. Just take water from the sea. And it's evident they grow very, I mean, they feed very well on these things. The problem is that probably, I mean, it reached its maximum, and now if like this container is kind of like, I mean, it's probably reached its like maximum, and I need to replenish it with more water from the sea. if like I want, but I'm not going to get out of this room because, as you know, I want the radiation to 5 years, so I will be free from the Nazi prison. And when I walk outside, the radiation stops. So I'm not going to get out of this apartment unless I really need to. And for now, I have like everything that I need. I don't need to buy new stuff like for the next couple of days. So I will probably stay here for at least like 3 or 4 days because before I need to do shoppings. So the process of radiation will be more efficient, and my rescue for the Nazi prison from the Nazi prison will be be possible. I mean, after this Homo sapienses are cleared from the place. If this is a Nero, this is really a huge one, a very big one, right? I'm not certain, but certainly it got like the general shape and the general look and the Stargate like appearance. So probably it's a Nero, but I'm not certain. And if it is, it's really a huge one. So we've seen very big ones over there. Again, a testimony for the fact that this is a great way to actually create Neros. I have never seen in any kind of slide until now such a density of huge Neros and very big ones. So this, prompts me, if I didn't want to stay here because I wanted the radiation to continue, I would have probably even today walked to the Mediterranean. It's not a large walk, and I can do such walks with permission from the guardian of the house arrest. It's less than an hour walk to the Mediterranean. So what I would do is I would fill like several jars with water from the sea, because it's evident that it's a great way to feed these creatures. Actually, I several times in the past I hypothesized, and even yesterday, if you remember, I mentioned that I think that most probably the Neros in Venus and many and probably in many other planets, they exist in the seawater, that's naturally so. So, and we have several even before these 2 slides, we have several hints that it's actually the case. I spoke about it in the past. Again, I don't want to repeat myself, but these 2 slides that we see right now, the first time that I actually see cultures that neurocultures that are created on water from the sea, are great support to these hypotheses, because we see that they grow very well and multiply based on the microbes of seawater. Of course, there are several assumptions here that might not be true at all. That for example, the oceans in Venus, are of the same composure like the oceans on Earth, which might not be the case, and that the microbes the ocean contain microbes like the oceans on Earth contain microbes. But these are 2 actually very plausible assumptions. Even though it should be said that not all oceans are similar to the ocean in Earth, and not all oceans contain microbes that are similar to those that are on Earth. Even in the solar system, our own solar system is widely known that there are other types of oceans. There are the oceans on Titan, the moon Titans, that they are known to be completely different, the oceans, completely different, the oceans on Earth. And if they contain life forms, which is an all-time hypothesis in science fiction literature, and I say why not? After I've seen that, the life forms can be created in all sorts of environments. Certainly, well, outside what you call the Goldilocks zone. So they are very different. But it's safe to assume that, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe some of you actually went to Venus. I've never been there, but it's safe to assume that, first of all, there are oceans on Venus, and also, most probably, they are very similar to those on Earth. And certainly not like the ones on Titan, or even not like the ones on Europa. I would assume that they are similar to the Pacific and the Atlantic, and also that the microbes, the life forms in it, should be, really similar. But correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you have hard information on the matter, those of you that actually have been there, or maybe you have research archives of people that have been there and conducted the research. I don't know. Unfortunately, it seems that most of the people that have been there were much more interested in slave trade than in research, which is a shame, but that's the fact. Kind of amazing that humans in the 21st century and also all throughout the 20th century were so anti-research and so they had such a prosperity, like I mean, such an attitude towards superstition and mythologies and also kind of like voodoo ideas and like and it's even more interesting that the actual person that is scolding you, like preaching you on the matter, is not other than the Son of God reincarnated, that was brought here not to teach you about religion and about God, but to teach you that you have brains and that you should use these brains in order to conduct research on what's like in your vicinity and not eat it like stupid animals that just eat everything that is in, like surrounds them without any thought about the consequences. But yet, that's what people all around the world, and especially in Israel, have done for more than 100 years. No research at all, presumably, and they just ate everything that they can do, like put their teeth on. This is reality. This is reality. Okay, so we are done with this slide, interesting slide. And so I'll stop the video so it won't be too long, and soon I'll take another video with the 3 other slides that were taken, one from the alien, like any alien aquarium, and 2 from the Crucible.